since I've streamed. And I had to prepare for this. So, yes, I got used to daily life. And I'm doing fine now. But anyways, here's the promised presentation and a lot of things that I can tell about Guam. At first, I knew it was just an island that belongs to the United States. But there is definitely something in there. Well, I would say that I have enjoyed the things available there. Okay. So I went to Incheon Airport because I got the tickets directly to Guam. And this is one big place because you have to get to the subway, or they would say the shuttle train to the flight gates. And yes, there are a lot of stores above here and there and below down the escalators. For breakfast, I had Taco Bell. And for lunch, I had rice noodles with some chicken here. I was expecting for a bit more noodles, but apparently they gave an extra bowl. Now that's really unexpected here. As much as this Pikachu sign on the airplane that I took. And Incheon Airport apparently has some place to experience games by Riot. I really don't know much else other than Baker, who is an expert. But it seems that a lot of people enjoy the games and the products of those characters. And it seems that they have comics based off the lore. Yeah, it's really big as Konami's franchises. Wow. Really big fandom there. So, actually, I had to spend one night near the airport. Yeah, it's quite big. It's so big that I refer Bombergirl when it comes to explaining the gameplay. Because both games are in the genre of MOBA, if I remember it correctly. Yeah, MOBA may be the correct kind of term there. So, this place was in Incheon, as I mentioned in the airport. So we spent this place called Grand Hyatt, and they gave us these kind of things as a welcoming present. I expected the cookies and sweets, but never expected the ice cream. All of them were good. And I saw a few planes going up in there, which is a bit far-fetched from this photo. And since it's the place near the airport, there were sculptures of Korean airplanes like this here. I think this is where the morning cafeteria holds in, but we never used. We never got to try the breakfast here because we had to directly go to the plane at morning. And I got to use the fitness center, and the electricals looked kind of brand new in there with large TV screens. And at night we got to get to a nearby bigger hotel called Paradise City. It has a big chessboard looking photo zone here, which the pieces were unable to move because they were stuck to the ground. And there were a lot of aesthetic stuff like the sculpture and this big hallway. I think they were spending a lot of money to give the whole interior appealing. And it turns out they were designed by Robert Indiana and Valet Shende. And at 7 p.m., a lot of performances happen to occur on the main hall where the yellow pumpkin is. There's the masquerade and the live woodwind playing. As far as I know, she played the theme of Titanic here. And I figured out where all this was made possible here. It's the casino. And it turns out it's for foreigners only. So anyways, I took the plane, which took 5 hours to go. And as soon as I got out of the airport, I was greeted by some palm trees and the big blue sea. Well, this was took at my hotel room. And the black things here are the coral. Which makes the fish to live there and cleans up the surface of the sea. Because they took all the waves from far away from the horizon. Not to mention, they were signs saying that ade, though it was pronounced as adai. And it's the Chamorro language saying hi. Yes it is. And I will talk about this later regarding a specific spot in Guam. So anyways, I stayed at this hotel called Duzitani. I think this is a Thailand brand because there are elephant statues. And all the customers or a bit amused when the people at the counter says "Sawadi" and gather their hands straight forward, as if we're greeting in the silent way. And at the ground floor, there's fish down here, and they're all alive. And there's a way that leads to the beach with a few pools around here. And there's a restaurant where you can listen to live music here. And yes, there's the hotel breakfast, which is really good. There are many kinds of food and bread as well. And some of the menus change every day. Now this and that are sausages. The yellow one are scrambled eggs. Yeah, even the bacon is really crispy there. Oh, and this one? This pork with red sauce in it is called tocino. I think you may know this one because it's a Filipino dish. Okay, there are many sorts of different sausages here. And here we have the French onion soup, where you can get your own croutons at your flavor. And they have meatballs, different kind of sausages. Oh, and this is the omelet. These are cheese, and they have japchae. Yeah, Korean japchae. What's a pandesal? Bread roll? You mean this thing? They mentioned this as dinner rolls, but looking at the other pictures from Bing, I think this is the closest they could get. Yeah, there will be a lot of food pictures upcoming through. And this is the ham omelette, which is the chef's special. And these are all cheese, except this one, which is a slice of turkey meat. And they have some Japanese food, which is soba, I think. And there are some toppings that you can put on. As for dessert, there's taro bread roll, apricot jam, and pancakes. And they have Fruit Loops and Cinnamon Crunch cereal. They have a chocolate marble cake, which I took a bite. Some French toast with white chocolate chunks and milk chocolate sauce with whipped cream here. And they have fruit as well. Let's see, this may be papayas. And this one as well. And I took a picture of this because it has a sculpture made from carrots here. Yeah, I think that's the common form of the tradition. The common typical Chamorro woman here. And yes, there are other places to go around the hotel. There are a few places that I actually went, one of which was Hambros, which had good burgers and onion rings. And there's Beach and Shrimp, which has a lot of shrimp cuisine. I had coconut shrimp with yam fries. You can see the bits in here. And there's the lobster. Hold on. Oh, it's called a lobster roll. At first, I didn't understand why it tasted so sour. But it turns out it's the right way to eat it. Because it says that the filling may also contain lemon juice. Well, I think those are yam fries. they taste closer to sweet potatoes, I think. And this big place is called Tea Galleria. Which is just a large department store for all the luxuries. Well, there were a lot of ABC stores around our hotel, like 2 or 3 of them. And this is the one across the Pacific Islands Center, which is another different place to stay. And the place I stay usually, it's called Tao Mooning. Yeah, it is called Tamuning. Well, it is basically a convenience store, but it also has lots of souvenirs as well, which are a bit pricey. There are some localized Japanese characters here, like Gudetama, Hello Kitty, and Doraemon. And they usually have those coffee brand cookies here, if I remember it correctly. Or they could be coffee beans. Also, there is a lot of variety on soft drinks and energy drinks. I never got time to taste every single one of them, but I had coconut juice and pink lemonade. And I liked all of them. Well, maybe not Bundaberg and Canada Dry, which are caffeine-free drinks. And just around Duzetani is a theater called Sandcastle, and they have this Chamorro traditional performance show called Carrera. Well, sadly no. Guam is a place where farm doesn't take up much place compared to other countries. But anyways, the Carrera show was really amazing that I have never slept even once. So the main plot is that two tourists meet some odd-looking guide called Aete, who transports them to the island of Guam. And I do have to mention that filming is definitely allowed here, unlike most other shows. But as other theaters, flash and sound are definitely not allowed in there. Also, the show is really interactive. Yeah, the actors would give their hands out for a fist bump or high five. And I think my master got invited to take part in one of the scenes. And everything went smooth. And now on to touring the middle part of Guam. I went to Two Lovers Point, and it contains a sad legend of two Chamorro lovers, which are quite literally. And apparently there are few points that resembles the man and woman here. According to the guide, this reflects the shape of the man in the face, and this reflects the shape of the lady, as in the upper body. Oh, Kyoumo! Welcome to the stream. I was showing pictures that I took on Guam. And this is the bill that was set up by the Japanese here. Apparently, a lot of people went here on their honeymoon and got impressed by the legend here. So they set up this spell to promise their eternal love of their marriage. Next up is the Emerald Valley. This is where the water is mostly clear in all of Guam. there are fish around here as well, which I just luckily took a shot of those. And there are various reasons that Guam has one of the clear waters in all of other seas. There are a lot of reasons the water is the clearest amongst other places. It's because of the power plants in here. You might think that power plants harm the environment, but things go around differently in here. You see, power plants release a lot of firepower in here to burn trash and stuff. And they boil all the water to turn the turbines here with the steam. And the boiled water gets released near the power plants, like here, which makes a lot of fish and coral reefs to widespread. Well, technically coral reefs do not grow in those valleys, but a lot of fish grow out of there and go to the sea to move around and so the boiled water would get released off to the sea and the coral reef would grow up as a natural wave breaker. See all those black stuff in the sea? These are all coral reefs. And these things break up the waves so they don't hit hard on the shore. So power plants in Guam have its own environmental purpose. And I went to the Spanish Plaza which had Kaganya Cathedral and this museum, which are unfortunately closed because they need repairs for fixing up stuff after the typhoon that got hit Guam. And the typhoon's name was Mawar, I think. And I heard it was quite severe. But anyways, this was the place where the Spanish government was here when they were taking over Guam. Before the United States, that is. There was a fountain and a garden here. And this was the place where guests were visited here, called the Chocolate Room. And then we traveled through the southwest side. And I took some pictures of it. It was hard to take clearly because we went quickly throughout the island, which we thought it would take a full day to go around the south way. And then we stopped at a few places here. And we saw a lot of churches and cathedrals here. It seems that everyone's Christian here, mostly Catholic. And we stayed at Mariso Pier. And you can see that the water is quite clear in here as well. Oh, and there were wild dogs here. And I heard they're quite common on some of the natural areas in Guam. Well, it would be perfect if the skies were clear as well, but there were clouds in here, which wasn't too bad after all. And I took some pictures of some islands. And it was kind of windy out there. And I visited a place called Jeff's Pirates Cove, which is a burger place and a bar. I ordered a cheeseburger. And the top bun was marked with a skull and bone. And I had root beer on the side. Oh, this got you really hungry. Well, I feel nearly the same as well. And on the store, they have the side where there were pictures of Bob Marley in here. I love his music as well. Like One Love, Get Up, Stand Up, and stuff like that. And we got to Kmart where they sell a lot of things. Literally. I mean, look at this bicycle shelf. I think they can put like 600 of those things inside. And there's this cheese flavored snacks that I thought everybody was mentioning while I was looking at Twitter. And there are a lot of varieties of Spam here. And there's that tocino here. And there were a lot of candles branded too. I assume Andy Warhol got impressed by this shelf alone. And as for playing cards, there weren't so many variations. I just took a red and blue kind of jumbo index bicycle deck and 2 decks of Wild Twist playing cards. And speaking of buying stuff, there's also the Guam Premier Outlets. There aren't any oversized cards, just regular sized ones. And by jumbo here, as I mentioned before, are just bigger indices. And obviously smaller faces and hips. So near Guam Premier outlets, there was this place called Applebee's. And I had a shrimp plate and a steak plate here. Honestly, it was so-so. I would honestly have food inside the outlet because as far as I remember, there was KFC and even Panda Express, the Chinese American cuisine place. And there's a reason that I mentioned the food court here. If you go out the other exit, there's the arcade called Dream Galaxy. And I heard it was recently made, but there aren't many impressive selections here. There were quite a lot of shooting games like Let's Go Jungle and Death Storm Pirates. And there's the Street Fighter 4 arcade with a jumbo screen, but sadly, it wasn't working when I was there. And most of them had this kind of multi-game kind of system, which I do not know the exact titles of those games. They were all kind of random in them. Also, I was expecting to play the dancing game and the drum game, but unfortunately they weren't functioning when I was there. One thing to note is that some of the arcades have this kind of long coin slot to put coins one by one. Kind of impressive. And sadly, the joysticks never seem to work promptly. I just tried Pac-Man and the controls were very stiff. Also near GPO was Longhorn Steakhouse. There's the bread as the appetizer, the salad, and mushrooms covered in mozzarella and parmesan. And I had a ribeye and a porterhouse steak with a loaded potato on each. The quarter-house steak is also called as a T-bone because it looks like a T shape when you finish it. And for dessert was a cheesecake with strawberries. You think all this would look appetizing, but the meat was quite average to me because all these things are actually imported. Guam doesn't have any production on agricultural stuff. So people barely farm in Guam. And there's Micronesia Mall, which is the biggest malls all of in Guam. This is how the main hall looks like. And there's this big odd-looking kinetic stuff in here called the Memo, short for Micronesia Identified Moving Object. I think I uploaded a video of this moving thing. Oh, hold on. Hold on, I'm trying to fix something here. Okay, sorry to keep you waiting here. So So anyways, there's another arcade in Guam called Fantastic Park. I was expecting to have an old Dance Dance Revolution machine in here, but sadly, they only have the stepping pads in here. Instead, they have this Dance Rush clone in here called Dance Life. It had some Japanese songs and some pop music as well, but I never knew any of those songs, so I just tried one credit and there were only 3 songs that you can play. Oh, I mean the stages, not the songs. There were only like a dozen and a half per category, I think. And there's Guitar Hero Arcade, which I was honestly afraid to try because I didn't know most of the songs up in here. Other than just one song by Beastie Boys, which is called Sabotage. And there was this Temple Run arcade machine which had a trap ball in here. And if you look closer, there's the ticket that says Funfair in it. Well, I think that's some evidence that it works as a hub for exchanging prizes in here. And there was a counter for it. And there was Tekken 6, but it's quite expensive to play because it requires 2 credits or $2 to play just once. Well, there's not enough digital entertainment up in Guam, but there is a alternative for it, which is sadly pachinko. Remember this ABC store here? Well, right to this part is here, which I took from the internet. And this is just across Pacific Islands Club Resort. And the inside looks like this, which has that beast-looking pachinko machine from Kaiji. The exchange rate is $1.5 kilo balls for $30. That's 2 cents for a ball. But it turns out that it's quite cheaper than in Japan. I heard some places have 1 Japanese yen per ball. And that translates to, let's see, like 6 to 7 cents per ball. So, in a sense, that's way cheaper than in Japan itself. And obviously, there are places that are more expensive than this rate. And sadly, my master nor myself have got into this place. We tried to enter it, but back then we didn't have our passports. They were at the safe in the hotel room. So my conclusion is that Guam isn't quite so recommendable unless you're eagering for going to the clear beach, or you want quality and safe surroundings above anything else. This includes when you're traveling with your young children, if any. Sadly, no. I didn't have much time to go to the farmer's market. Yes, this is a place that you can go at evenings. So, anyways, Guam might not be so recommendable if you mind on quality of food and hotels. For one thing, is that even Dusitani doesn't have the best bathrooms in the hotel room. One thing is that they do have clear water, but the drainage system isn't quite excellent compared to that. And that really minded me because I frequently take showers inside the hotel room. Also, it's not quite recommendable if you're casually walking around and do economic shopping. There are a lot of activities and expensive stuff to buy and do, but at least it's tax-free, which means you can buy at least one or two worthwhile presents for a related and beloved. Also, there are a lot of fast food chains, not in East Asia. I wish I could try more of those, but sadly, my stomach wasn't really big enough to so my conclusion is this. I know that Guam is kind of recovering from the storm. I mean, Mauer typhoon / tornado. I do wish there was something more than it has, like Lucy and other stuff. So I don't have any bad thoughts about Guam. I think it can improve a lot. Also, I expected a lot of places that are related to Chamorro traditions and stuff like that. Well, it's not too bad, as everyone say. I guess I just prefer my hometown even more. Listen. For a place for successful tourism, there must be something that is exclusive, that attracts other people's hearts. Oh, I forgot to mention about the food. That why is it not quite recommendable? Well, hold on. You see, Guam doesn't have a lot of farms in here, so most of the food are imported, and they all come in forms of mostly unhealthy forms like here. And thanks to US military, there are a lot of meat and canned goods in here. So it's hard to find fresh food in here. When you think of island, you would think of the local fresh food around in here, but sadly no. Guam is quite different for reasons that I've mentioned before. Well, actually yes. I love trying out new things that I never tried before. And I hope that Guam does a lot of effort to show off their Chamorro tradition up to tourists. At least Carrera was a very creative and dynamic thing that was available So, that is all I can show for now. I might have a work in progress stream for tomorrow. At the same time. So, thanks for coming for today, and you don't have to take my advice too seriously. It's just my opinion. Things might be quite different for somebody who has young children who love to swim. So, that's all there is to it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Signing off.